What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Social City Podcast. What episode is it, y'all? Episode 10! Let's go. Season finale, y'all. Episode 10. I'm your host, Omar Foster, at Old School Omar. This is my beautiful wife, Aubriana Cherie Foster, at Aubi. Say what's up to the people, boo.
What's up, people?
On today's episode, we're going to be recapping some top moments from Season 1, the past 9 episodes. We'll get into Obsession of the Week and close off with some gratitude. But first, we got our sponsor, y'all. Sponsor for episode 10, Green Valley Window Tint. Green Valley Window Tint has been family owned and operated in Las Vegas since 1983. They are industry experts when it comes to automotive, residential, or commercial window tinting. Protective films for home security, solar and paint protection film for your home or vehicle, or even decorative film for your office to add a little privacy to those conference room meetings. They also do wall or window wraps and graphics installed by their trained experts. At Green Valley Window Tint, their mission is to provide exceptional window tinting solutions that consistently exceed customers' expectations. As a family-owned and operated business since 1983, they are committed to fostering a culture of quality, superior customer service, and growth. They embrace a growth mindset, encouraging their team members to continuously develop their skills and adopt an ownership-driven leadership approach. By remaining persistent in their pursuit of excellence, they aim to strengthen their legacy as a trusted leader in the window tinting industry and contribute to the vibrant community of Southern Nevada and beyond.
You can find them at greenvalleytint.com.
Yeah, buddy.
If you're looking for those guys.
Yeah, tell about the Millers a little bit.
Man, so the Millers and I go way back. I've actually known Josh, Nichelle, and little Ricky since I was in 3rd grade. So they moved down the street from us, and they really, we literally all grew up together. And their parents were running Green Valley Tint at the time. And so it's been such an amazing thing to watch all 3 of them join the family business and just them kind of bringing it into the future and taking the legacy of their dad and his work ethic and his focus on quality and customer service and really embracing that old school business tactic with new business strategy.
Yeah.
They launched their podcast, Born to Tint, that you were on.
Yeah, for sure.
Shout out to those guys for that.
Shout out to the
man.
Born to Tint podcast. Invited me on as a guest. Wanted me to share my story a little bit about my accident.
Yeah.
So it was cool because we had just started our podcast. So to just start ours and then be on theirs was a cool experience.
And the Miller brothers are also extreme athletes in their own right. They're both ultra runners, which I just find so mind bending. I ran a half marathon and that was my bucket list. And these guys are out there doing ultras, and Josh's daughter is an insane runner as well. And they're super into cold plunging and all the things. So
yeah, super like-minded. We vibrate, on the same frequency.
Yeah, I love those guys. Their quality of work too. I can't say this enough. I have known their family. Their dad ingrained that into them, and it's something that they stand by. So if you're looking for whatever window wraps for your house for the summer heat that's coming, or your tint on your car,
they put the awesome perforated flag on our gym windows, and that was almost 10 years ago, and it's still holding strong.
And that has saved us, I think, a lot because we get that direct sunlight at that noon time during the day during the summer, and even with AC, it's tough. So they are awesome. Can't say enough good things about them. They're just really good people.
Thanks again so much for the support, guys. We appreciate that.
Thank you, guys.
Here we go. After 14 years of being in the health and fitness space, we have heard hundreds of collective stories, conversations, and perspectives that have created so much inspiration in our own lives that we wanted to bring them beyond the 4 walls of our gym and share them on a greater platform. Our goal is to share some of our favorite personalities, stories, and perspectives that continue to inspire us. Episode 10.
I know.
Season finale.
We made it.
We made it. We are here. 10 weeks, 10 episodes, every Saturday. It's been fun. Such a cool feeling. And it was a thing that we just didn't quite know in the beginning, but you have to just pull the trigger and just jump at it,
Yeah, action breeds motivation, right?
I found this voice memo. I'm going to see if I can play this. This is from January of 2019. I don't know if anyone's really ever heard this, but...
It's Friday night, 8:58 p.m. Pretty late for us as parents. We're irresponsible. We're getting wild. My name is Omar Foster. I'm with my wife, Aubi Foster, and this is the Follow the Fosters podcast.
So that was our pretend Follow the Fosters podcast that we were just let's do a podcast. 2019. So, it's 2024 now. It's something we've been talking about for a while, and we finally did it. So it feels good.
Yeah. The year of yes. I said that at the beginning of the season. It's really, as scary as it's felt, it's really served well because I think I've spent most of my life sitting on the other side of fear when it comes to decisions or wanting to do really well or wanting to jump at things. But that moment of hesitation that happens, sometimes, it's like when I was working, I wouldn't always go for the promotions I wanted because I was afraid of like what would happen on the other side if I put myself out there. And so instead I would just like work as hard as I could until the promotion was offered to me. So it's been kind of a different experience for me to start just saying yes to things and kind of putting myself out there and not just waiting for an opportunity to be, it was almost forced upon me because of you, just because, you jump into things.
We're doing it. Here we go.
It's been so cool, and it's been such an awesome layer for me with our relationship, and not just the conversations we've gotten to have and the platform to share those things, but getting to watch it back and getting to watch you and just, I guess, the dynamic between us. Like, it's really been such an awesome layer for me as well to get that time of reflection. And I don't know, it's interesting getting to watch yourself interact with the person that you're super in love with. So it's been really cool.
It's a good look on you. I love that you say it's your year of yes, because I've been saying it's the year of execution. All these ideas that we have, that people have in general. It's just time to pull the trigger on it. Just start and you figure it as you go. Like when we launched our first episode, we didn't have all 10 episodes dialed in and figured out, but we were just kind of like going with the flow, what felt good, what didn't feel good, and what we thought we could improve on, and what we thought would be a good story to share or stories to share from inside the gym. Yeah. And it's been awesome spending time with you, writing scripts the night before, coming up with the ideas and the flow of how everything is going to roll. It's been an awesome experience.
It's definitely been one of my favorite seasons of us.
So speaking of favorites and seasons, what better way to wrap up the season than to recap some of our favorite moments throughout the season? Also, I thought it would be a fun way to give you guys all a peek into some of the episodes you may have missed. We're going to be taking a break after season 2, and there's plenty of time for you guys to catch up. Or we're going to be taking a break from season 1. And there'll be plenty of time to catch up on the episodes that you may have missed. So you got 9 episodes to go back and watch them. Yeah, we've had some awesome moments.
It was hard to just narrow it down to even 10.
Yeah, it was.
Because I feel like there were so many good little nuggets and moments of, like, obviously rewatching when we were editing or when it launched or things like that. But man, like, such a cool thing to have in the archives for ourselves too. Like selfishly, like I'm just super thankful to have those conversations and have the recordings for ourselves for later down the road,
Yeah, before we roll into our recap, we're still looking for sponsors for season 2. We would love to continue this journey with you all and dive deeper into seeing where we can take this and help others provide hope, motivation, and some love that we think this world needs.
Yeah.
So if you own a business or have gotten anything from these last episodes, it would mean the world to us if you jumped in as a season 2 sponsor. You reach out to us on Instagram, slide into the DMs, shoot me an email, Omar at CrossFit Social City. Find a way to contact us and let us know. We'd love to have your support, throw you a shout out on the show.
Yeah, I love it.
So here we go, y'all. Top 10 moments from season 1. Clip number 1. Roll that for us, Quan.
2 years ago, we did a complete pendulum swing, and after some unfortunate circumstances, I lost my job. And before we kind of jumped into something new, O looked at me and said, it's time to reevaluate, really start to think about some of the sound bites we had been saying and listening to. And one of those was that I was missing everything with the kids. And the straw that broke the camel's back for me was I had come home after a work trip, and our nanny knew something that Uriah could do that I didn't. And I remember almost wanting to argue with her, and then the amount of shame and guilt that I felt when I realized that she was right and that she knew our son better than I did. That was a huge wake-up call. And so God was moving in the moment. I didn't feel it.
And I could see your sadness through it, how stretched thin you were, putting all your effort into work and then coming home, trying to cook and get stuff ready for us. I remember when I looked at you and I was like, this isn't the life I wanted for us.
You make me cry. You make me cry again.
I know. That's an emotional clip, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And just to fill everyone in, it's been 3 years now.
Yeah.
This month
this March.
we decided that you would be a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
Wow. Time flies. I can't believe it's been 3 years. How do you feel about it from that time to now?
It's crazy how when you're in the storm, it's so hard to know that it's like I always knew God was moving in the moment, but I could have never envisioned where we would be 3 years later, and the amount of joy and happiness and peace that has been brought into our lives, because in the moment it was so chaotic and it was against everything that I had learned to attach my identity to.
Mm-hmm.
And so to kind of have that pendulum swing, but being given the gift of what I had been telling you, which was I just was missing time with our kids. It's made me more gracious for you and for our relationship, and I'm more present. And I feel like my level of gratitude all around is just so much higher because I've just realized I'm not so caught up in the rat race of trying to chase money or titles or, success in the more traditional sense. And it's just been incredible how it's kind of like rebirthed my life.
Yeah.
And it's because of you. I mean, honestly.
Big leap of faith.
Yeah.
For me to be able to provide for my entire family for these 3 years while you get to spend time homeschooling the kids.
Yeah.
You send me texts in the middle of the day, like, this is the life I've always dreamed of. That just brings me so much joy.
Yeah.
And looking back on it now, when I told you, we'll look back and be like, that was the best thing that ever happened. I'm looking back thinking that every single day.
Yeah. And in this moment, it's just kind of cool to look at that, because when we looked at that clip, we're like, wow, 3 years. It went so fast. And we're doing it like, life looks so different, but we're doing it. And I've never been happier. So thank you for that.
Yeah, of course.
What a cool moment.
Clip number 2. We got our guy, Jay.
Hella blessed.
Good morning, my folks. Happy Saturday. Yeah, I feel like you know better than I do.
Hope you're having a good day. Hope you're having a good morning. Better rest of your day. As always, keep peace in your mind today and every day moving forward. And then you gotta end up with some wisdom or something funny. Like, I live for that moment. I was trying to practice it last night, and I was just rolling off the tongue. He's like, I hate you. I was like,
You memorized it so well.
I love it though. I love it. Like,
I love that.
The coaches episode.
Coach's episode was awesome. Coach Jay always giving those good morning, my folks.
Jay's in the building.
Jay's
Shout
in
out
the building.
to Jay.
Hella blessed. Stay hella blessed, y'all. Like Jay, just one of those people that just vibrates good energy every time you see him. Man, he is a blessing to be around. In times of darkness, Jay will always shed light.
So
and I love that he posts videos from wherever he's at work, at the gym. Just nothing short of showing full gratitude.
Totally.
Yeah,
that was such a good moment. I love that.
Next moment on the list. Moment number 3. We're counting up. We're gonna count up from 1 to 10. Moment number 3.
Moment number 3.
Stacking as many daily wins as possible, y'all. The idea here is to create a checklist of daily wins, and there's actual science to back this, right? To give you my daily wins list. But the first one right out of the gate is no snooze, which I'm still working on. And then cold plunge, like I said, the past couple days, I'm like, this is the last thing I want to do. And then the cold plunge, I get my prayer in. That always makes me feel good. The lemon salt water. Talked about that when you write my lemon love notes. Gratitude, hit the gratitude journal, morning reflections, the right things you're grateful for. Always grateful for my supportive wife, grateful for a body that's capable. As soon as I wrap up with my gratitude journal, I've been hitting the Bible, reading some Proverbs, 7, and then I leave the house. So I get those 6 wins in before I even leave the house, And then I get into a workout, maybe around 10 or so.
Workout
we usually
7.
get outdoors, take the kids to the park on the daily. We usually get some grounding in, get the shoes off, say hello.
We're so hippie.
And then something creative. So then after
10.
doing something creative, I got play with kids.
11.
Home cooked dinners. And
12.
then to sit down at the table and just enjoy dinner and have quality time, break bread, have conversations. I go into journaling again at night, just kind of a recap of the day. Try to read 10 pages before bed. And then this is what we're working on, is be in bed by 9 p.m. 16.
I know.
You can't get them all. And then I got cardio. Cardio with the wife. We won't talk about that too much. Everyone's got their own name for it, all right? Just part of marriage, y'all. I'm just getting red over there. It is what it is. It's life. Daily wins.
That's been a game changer, though, for real. It's like, again, I think we talked about this on one of the episodes where you are very good at routine. It's very in your nature, I think. And then you add your military experience, and it just like really, cemented that in, where it's like, my nature is not like that, even a little bit. And there's always this like resistance that happens. I feel like when you're trying to implement like an extra thing, I'm like, what? We're already busy. Why we got to add that? Why we got to do that? It's like just my defiance. I think just my natural defiance attitude. But man, it does make such a difference reframing it in that way, even though the list is long. Like it really does make such a difference even for myself. Like my wins look a little different than yours, but I feel like that piece of advice was very applicable for anyone, for anywhere they're at on their journey. Because your wins can be individual to you.
Yes.
You're just stacking wins in your favor before you enter the world and get smacked around a little bit, because sometimes that happens.
And let me just say, like, it didn't start off with 16, 17 wins.
Yeah.
It was kind of like stacking one on top of the other, and then you didn't want to quit one thing. So it just kept adding on.
Yeah.
And now where we are where we are today. I think that people, when they set goals and they're looking to achieve something, we're thinking of just, in the game of baseball, they're thinking about hitting home runs all the time or trying to smack a grand slam. And it's like, no, just like get on base. Base hits one after the other. And I think that's what the daily wins are for me. Because as soon as you leave the house, I feel like the world's working against you, you know? You leave and anyone in Vegas now knows like how terrible traffic is. So as soon
Our
as you get on
version
the
of
road,
traffic.
yeah, and you're like, gosh, there's traffic first thing in the morning, and you could just be in a bad mood right on that. But if you've got some wins under your belt, you can just sit in that car and sit in traffic and you'd be like, you know what? I'm just grateful that I have a vehicle to get me from point A to point B. I'm grateful that I have a job to go to. I've got
It's just
I've got
perspective.
whatever 1 through 5 wins under my belt before I left the house already. Like, what's gonna stop me now? I'm in a
Well,
good
and I
place.
think when anytime that we are shifting into alignment towards a higher frequency and positivity and looking for the good in the world, I think that's when the enemy attacks the most. You know, it's like as soon as you start to realize your value, that you're loved, that you start walking in the idea that like you're made with a purpose on purpose, like really stepping into that, then it's like, whoo, expect it to come. Like expect the enemy to start attacking you then, because that's the goal, is to keep you far, far, far away from realizing your inner potential and realizing what it's like to walk in love and live in love and to look at the good and to not allow the little things to have the weight, you know?
Yeah.
So I joke about it all the time. I mean, people at the gym will hear me say, "We're like, ooh, devil coming for me today."
Yeah, for sure. The enemy is moving.
Totally,
Trying to get and stop you from reaching the top of that mountain, you know?
Yeah, and so it's like even the small things like rain when you don't want a cold plunge. It's like sometimes I'm like, oof, okay. But then stacking that win, man, what a difference.
Yeah, 10 weeks. I feel like I was just starting my cold plunges when we were filming
Probably.
kind of episode 1-ish. And that was day, I don't know, 3 or so.
Yeah.
And now I'm on day 73.
Woo.
Yeah, rain, cold, wind, whatever it is, I'm jumping out there. And I will say, there are many days when I'm like, this is the last thing I want to do. And the reason why I've been recording it from my phone is because it forces me to like get in the water faster.
Social pressure.
Otherwise I'm
Life
kind
of
of
an
like,
influencer,
yeah, I'm like,
yeah.
I don't want this to be longer than 10 or 15 seconds.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? Day 73. Here we go. Get in. Cool. Put my music on.
love
Cold
it.
plunge, pray. Yeah,
I love it. So
daily
good.
wins, y'all. Keep them daily wins going. Before we move on, I love seeing other people incorporate daily wins into their routine.
Yeah.
You know, I've been seeing people like Marion.
I love that
he
dude.
posts
Quad boy.
Quad boys. He posted his wins, and I'm like, man, way to go. Like,
Yeah.
and I just seen the growth in him.
Yeah.
You know, not just physical strength, but overall confidence. You
Totally.
know, when people walk in the gym and they're just kind of shy, and everyone is apparently an introvert that has walked through our doors since 2020, and then they go from that to saying what's up to everyone
Yeah.
and handshaking everyone as they walk in and introducing themselves to new people
Yeah.
that they don't even know, and then also doing that before they leave the gym.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people sneak out without saying bye. If you sneak out of our gym without saying bye,
We're
we're
gonna
gonna have
call
some
you out.
problems.
Oh.
Break time.
You're on break time.
You go to break time. All right, guys, rolling on to clip number 4. So the next thing that we kind of implemented was making God the center of our marriage.
Praise.
Praise to that. We were attending church every weekend and getting our priorities straight. When we couldn't go in person, we would catch it online. And I think just our order of priority was kind of mixed up at that time, you know?
Oh, yeah.
I think our view was backwards. It went kids were first, then it was work,
Yeah.
then it was spouse, and then whatever we had left over went to
It
God
almost
and to
went
prayer.
in order of what you thought needs were. Like our kids cannot survive without us, so they're first. And then work, like if our need is to pay for things, and
True,
so
true.
therefore, if I'm not at work, my job won't be done. I won't get a paycheck. So that's 2. 3 was sometimes each other, but you might put in a little rotation there. Just again, depending on a need and emergency, like putting out fires. And then God and church and faith was like, okay, when things are really bad, that might
Yeah.
move up a couple notches.
Yeah, true that. Yeah,
But
when in
it
reality,
definitely-
like that order goes, God comes first, your spouse comes first before your kids, because they were there
Absolutely.
before the kids came along. Then it's kids. You know what I mean? That should be the proper order of, yeah. So much has changed.
Right?
Just putting that first and prioritizing it. And you know what I think is awesome is Selah loves to cold plunge. She drew photos of her cold plunge with water and ice in it. And then when she got in the morning I filmed it, she started praying. And that's just from what she watches me do, you know? And I was like, wow, that's it. Like, that's the magic. That's where faith is. It's rooted in her. She knows when it's time to go to God and talk to him, whether things are good or whether things are bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do as you do, not as you say.
And then, hold on, sorry. And then Raya wanted to get in, and Raya gets in, and he was kind of struggling. And Selah's the little sister encouraging her big brother who was going through a hard time. And she's like, Pray, Raya, pray. I just thought that was so cute.
Well, in that episode, there were so many moments in that episode that we could have picked, but I think that we picked that clip because that was really the foundation of what everything else shifted around in terms of really like how we saved our marriage. And I think that episode is probably the one that we've gotten the most feedback around. And at least I have like individual like DMs and whatnot. And I remember when we were sitting down and discussing it, whether or not did we want to put our marriage out there like that? Because it's hard to admit that like things were not good and that they weren't good. I mean, 2 years sounds like a long time, but it's really not. It's still not that far in the past. But the choice to share, I think, was a conscious one of like knowing that we felt really alone in that season, and that we know that other people had probably experienced, maybe it wasn't the exact same, but it probably felt familiar. And then I remember when we got done filming, getting in the car and just being like, I hope it was okay. Like, I hope it was good. I hope that there was one little nugget of information. And then the amount of support that we got on sharing it, and then just all the different levels of feedback around it, that whether it was shared with somebody else that was going through a hard time, whether it was a couple that was in that moment of that season and needed that encouragement, even couples that hadn't made it through, but the retrospect was, I think, healing in a sense to have a different perspective of what they could carry forward, and just the advice. I mean, that was the one I think I was the most nervous to film. And nervous to put out there. And I just felt like really humbled by the feedback afterwards on how helpful it was.
Like an episode that had major impact. Because I had a guy in the car community DM me on Instagram and was saying he's been married for 34 years. And he watched the episode 3 times, just taking away little nuggets from it. And he sent that episode to his 3 grown kids and asked them to watch it, and, just to take away what they could that they thought would benefit them in their marriage. And I was like, wow, like for someone to be married for that long and to take away something from that episode or from us was, just kind of eye-opening.
Yeah, and I think it just goes to show, like, you're never too old to learn, but also there's so much value. It's a fine line, right? Like, it's like you want to share things that are personal, but maybe not intimate. Like, we didn't need to go into the intimate details of what we were struggling with, but didn't matter. It was the idea, the general idea of connection. And I think it shows the value of, like, man, being vulnerable sometimes in the right circles, in the right way, still be methodical.
And that was one of the things I took away after getting a few messages was, drawing a blank. It'll come back around.
Yeah, but I think it's just interesting. It was the one that I was the most nervous to film, and it was the one that we got the most feedback around, and it showed the value of being vulnerable and allowing there to be connection there. And again, like, it didn't have to be overly detailed for it to resonate for people, and it just felt really rewarding because we were nervous to put it out there.
Okay, I got it. So I was going to say, usually when you hear people have been married for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years plus, that's usually the only part of marriage you hear is when people make it that far.
Yeah.
I don't really recall seeing anyone talk about struggles and what they did to move them forward to get them out of their situation, because it's such a vulnerable topic.
Totally.
To like talk about some of the bad things that went on and then how you got yourself out of that.
Totally.
That's what I was going to say.
No, that's such a good point, because a lot of times you hear the success stories, but you don't hear the valleys that they experienced to make it a success story. And because it is a fine line. I mean, there are some things that are absolutely not people's business, and I do think you have to be careful about who you trust, which is also what we talked about, right?
Yep.
Wise advisement and where you're getting it from. But it felt very rewarding to know that it was a value, because I remember when we got in the car, all I said was like, listen, at the end of the day, if it helps one person, if it gives one person hope, or it gives one couple like just a aha moment to maybe think about things, or maybe like when you had advocated for therapy, if that like clicked over for someone, just one person, that's all that matters. And then to get such overwhelming feedback was just like, wow. So
yeah, for sure.
Thank you guys for that, because it was not an easy thing to decide to put out there, for sure. So that was really, really affirming.
Moving on, clip number 5. Yeah, what you grateful for?
I'll start. There's this Ricky Gervais has a show called Afterlife, and the character he plays at one point talks about happiness, and he says, happiness is so good that it doesn't even have to be your happiness to enjoy it.
That's good.
I look at you guys, and what you're doing, and I see you being happy, and I enjoy it.
That still hits like just as good as it did the first time.
For sure. It's so true though.
Yeah.
because that's all I want to see. When people walk into the gym or like into our circle, it's like, man, I just want to see you be happy and I want to see you succeed.
And it is that thing, like you said, where it's like, it's so good that it doesn't have to be your happiness.
Yeah.
When you are around people that are happy, that are really experiencing joy, it just rubs off on you whether you like it or not. And I think that's why the gym has been such a powerful place is, again, we might be the owners, but it's not us that's the secret sauce. It's the people that fill that space, that it doesn't really matter what kind of mood I'm in. It's like as soon as I'm there, there's so much joy and happiness within that group and gratitude within that group that they're there, that it rubs off on you and it just up levels you too. And the way that he said that, I just thought was so poetic, and it's so like so well.
So well.
It's so well. You know, there were so many good and then when he was obsessed with the deposition or whatever that was, I couldn't stop thinking about that because that was hilarious. But
yeah, I know that people look at us and that brings them happiness and joy to see us happy, but I don't think people understand how much of our happiness comes from the members and you know, their progress, and to see them gain confidence.
Yeah.
Like, man, that really makes us happy. I love that you've been coaching a little bit and a little bit more lately, because I'm always like, tell me about your
the
classes.
PR cities, you know, on Wednesday, ring that bell. Ian tries to sneak out sometimes. I see you, Ian, over there sitting on the couch. He tries to sneak out with hitting that bell. But if you're in my class, you know, it's like we're celebrating wins. And if you're even more shy, like, don't let me know that. Yeah. Because then it's like, oh, now we're really celebrating. Yeah, now we're really going to celebrate you, David. Quad boy, David.
Quad boy number one.
Exactly.
He came first, though. All right, we're going to move on to clip number 6, a little fun one here for episode 8.
So there was Hollywood Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, HBJJ. I mean, it says it in the names. You gotta be leery. It's in there. And I signed up for an intro, and the 2 gentlemen that welcomed me to HBJJ were gorgeous, muscle daddies in like those silky, loose, you know, boxing type shorts. Intimidated number 1, they were super friendly, straight.
Send me the location after.
And I didn't realize that HBJJ, it's mostly grappling, floor work, and submission holds. I didn't know that. I thought it was like, I literally thought it was up above. So they got me to the floor. I'm on my back with like one leg up and pinning me down, holding me down, being like, okay, so this is how, like, this is the position. And I'm literally starting to get, because I was like so nervous and so excited.
Like that's
Yeah, classic story. Thank you again, Clifton, for sharing that with us.
Clifton and Reynald.
The world needed to know.
Yes, HBJJ.
HBJJ.
Did you ever send Reynald that address? It's probably where Reynald is right now.
So one thing I took away from that clip in that episode with our gays there was that just because you're a straight male doesn't mean that gay men can't be attracted to you. But I'm saying though, hey, Jay, back me up, bro. It's not a thing that straight men think about. I don't think it's like, all right,
I'm not faulting
he's gay.
you.
There's no way he's attracted to me because I'm straight.
I feel like Reynald and I had talked about how hot you were together, so I was dying during that clip when he was talking about when you were working out, because you blushed as much as you could.
Yeah, but it's not a thing that men think about. So anyways, I'm just putting
so
y'all
good.
on.
And
you guys watch out
we
for that.
definitely, season 2 is definitely going to have a comeback of Clifton and Reynald, because there were
Yeah.
so many. I literally had sound bites stuck in my head for like weeks after, like, and business.
Stand on your business, y'all. We stand
There
on
were
our
so
business.
many
You gotta
clips
know
from that episode too that we could have pulled, because there were just so many good sound bites from those guys. But that story is in the Hall of Fame for sure. It's so good.
this. Hey, Clifton, attaboy. Moving on. Clip number 7 from episode 6.
God
Welcome to the
wants
storm.
me to be happy and healthy and whole. And the way that I'm pursuing that is ineffective. So he's going to put me in a storm. My job was to realize when you can't control the storm, control your reaction to it. And most storms in life we don't control.
Never.
Okay? We don't control the outcome, but we have control over our emotions.
Yeah.
And I have never, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. There's not a year in my life I've ever been closer to God than last year, because it got so big that I didn't have any other option. And
You just had to surrender.
I just knew at the end of each storm that The purpose of that storm was to draw me closer to God and to strengthen my faith.
Like Pastor Wilkes here, like no
Pastor
big deal,
Wilkes,
like that
yeah.
message. I just felt like that whole episode was so good in general, just the vulnerability of Drew and Paul. I was so grateful for that. We got so much great feedback around that as well, of just the different points of the journey and just normalizing the conversation of not drinking in general, right? But the message around how he faced that year. He has 3 kids, and in that year, all 3 of them faced some life-changing circumstances that it could have ended in the unknown, one after another after another. And for that to be his perspective was so impactful on me. That moment and the way that he expressed how to reframe your struggle or reframe the storm and the idea that like God is using that to bring you closer. It was kind of like a light bulb moment for me of just when you know a concept, but you hear it said in a way that you're just like, wow.
Yeah.
That was one of those moments for me.
Yeah.
There were so many good nuggets of wisdom.
I mean, I feel like I hate bringing up COVID, but COVID was a big year and a big shift for a lot of people. People either elevated and continued to move forward, or people drowned and are still drowning, struggling, having a hard time bouncing back from that. So the fact that we had to close down our gym and do some online programming, I just remember that being the shift for me, because when that happened, you were a little stressed and I could see like the anxiety in your face, like, what are we going to do? And I was like, this is when I thrive, when there's pressure and there's storms we're about to go through, because I know that when we come out, we're going to be stronger on the other side. We're going to be closer in our faith and closer to God.
I keep thinking about, too, on that episode, Andrew talked about the buffalo and how buffalo run into the storm. And I have used that story now, Drew, like Drew's here for, I don't know, I think I've probably told that 5 different times. It's just such a eloquent way of looking at how you face your problems. Buffalo are the only animal that run into the storm while other animals run away, because they know if they face it and they run through it, that while they are going to be in hell for a moment, it's just a moment, and on the other side is freedom.
Yeah, straight sunshine on the other side.
And that was also such a good nugget from that episode, and I've used that because it's such a true way to look at things, and from a place of surrender and a place of trust, and also a place of understanding that like we can't control everything. And as someone it's a little bit of a control freak, it's been one of the hardest lessons that I've like constantly am trying to remind myself. It's an affirmation that I write all the time, where it's like, I am favored, I am chosen, and I am trusting. The other one I always say is, I will be a worshiper, not a worrier, because a soundbite that falls out of my mouth all the time is like, oh, I just worry. Oh, I'm just worried. It's just my nature, and I try to chess play out.
God will turn that worry into worship.
It will totally. And in every season I've ever been in, that there was an unknown on the other side, or there was tragedy. I mean, I've had moments of that in my life, of just feeling like I was in the pit, and being almost afraid to say like what else could happen, for fear that something else would happen. Like that kind of fear of pain, where you don't want to move, because if I move, something else might fall. And to be able to realize that those are those moments, if reframed, it's like, man, there's freedom on the other side of that by just surrendering, because it's like you can't change it, but you got to know it's just a moment and it's just a season, no matter how bad it is.
For anyone struggling or going through a hard time, hard obstacle, any of our friends, family, any of our listeners, or people who are watching right now, just take that into consideration, that when you're going through the storm, stop running from it, face it, go through it. You will be stronger on the other side. Yeah,
and find a pack of people to run through it. You know what I mean? Like, find a tribe. Surround yourself with people that see you for who you are, and that believe in you, and that emulate the things that you want in your life, and they'll carry you. Yeah, for sure. Praise. Moving on, clip number 8 from episode 7. What is the best part of being a grandparent?
Seeing them light up when you see them, and seeing the love in their eyes. But for me, as a grandparent and being at my age, I think I see them differently than I did my kids, right? I wasn't looking for the distinct differences between them. I think the next thing, it's not as much the grandkids as it is watching how our children are raising them. There's a validation that occurs that I don't think you can get any other way, where you're just like, wow, we did something right. We did something right, man. You're watching your kids, and you're watching how they raise their kids, and you go, wow, okay, cool. It's a good thing.
I'm choosing so hard.
Some wisdom.
Yeah, and I mean,
Smart.
I am a daddy's girl. My dad's here today. Shout out to my dad
Sup,
and my mom,
Mark?
Shane. Shout out to my parents and your parents for coming on. But for me, that moment, I'm big on words of affirmation. Omar knows this. If I clean something, I'm like, come look, I've cleaned. Look, come look at this. I need to hear how great it looks. I'll send my mom Shane videos when I've organized things. It's a thing. It's a thing for me. But to be able to to have that moment, like I was talking about earlier, selfishly, we are going to have those moments with our parents forever.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I don't care if one person listens to that episode for me is a time capsule of something that I'm so grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
But to be validated, to hear your parents look at you as a parent and say you're doing it, I mean, cry, to say you're doing a good job, you're like, because it's so hard. Parenting is so hard.
For sure.
And I have such gratitude for my parents and your parents, because I'm like, man, you really are just doing the best you can with what you know in the moment. And you just hope that your kids know how much you love them and how much you care. So for me to get that moment and to know that I'm making them proud, that, I don't care anything else. I'm doing good. That means so much. And to have that on tape for me, I'm like, I will treasure that. And I'm a daddy's girl. I love my dad.
Yeah, and
I'm
that
obsessed
message
with
for
my
me
dad.
just hit on a different angle, because it's we're in the midst of parenting toddlers, a 3 and a 6-year-old, but now it gives me something to look forward to on the next phase, when our kids have kids, and we can sit back and be in Mark's position and be like, yeah, Uriah, you're doing good, bro. Keep it up,
Uriah has 7 sons that he wants to have.
Uriah
always talks about he wants 7 sons. I'm like, with one lady though, with only one lady. But yeah, that was such an incredible moment. I'm just super grateful for it. And you're right, it did give the perspective. I think sometimes I'm so caught up on how quick it's going.
Mm-hmm.
The kids are growing up so fast that I'm like, I'm so painfully aware that this is some of the best moments, and I get real emotional because they're slipping away. I always say it's watching your kids grow up is like sand slipping through your fingers. You can't slow it down no matter how you try, because it's just so granular and it goes fast. But hearing that, it's like, okay, but there is just so much good to come. And then I can't wait to jack them up with sugar, and I'll send them home to Uriah. It's a proper full circle payback.
Yeah.
It'll be good.
Jack the kids up with some root beer. Oh, man. Roll it on to clip number 9, episode 7. Speaking of kids and Uriah.
Hi guys, welcome to okay.
Okay, one more time.
What's up everybody? Welcome to Social City Podcast. I'm your host, Uriah Foster, and my co-host is my sister Say.
Hey,
Hey,
say what's up
say
to
what's
the
up.
people, Sayla.
Hi guys, my name is Sayla Wells.
Hi, Sayla. What's something cool you want to do this year?
Coffee to San Diego.
You want to go to San Diego?
Go to San Diego for your birthday? Yeah.
Dude, I
How
can't. They're
cuteness
so cool.
overload.
They are cool,
Yeah,
man.
and again, leading by example, just to
Yeah.
have Uriah be able to spit that intro out just
Yeah.
from us, playing the podcast, clipping, editing, posting, stuff to the social media. It's just kind of full circle to have them here, because we're with them all the time.
Yeah.
Grateful that we homeschool them.
Yeah.
And you're at home with them, and I get to come home and take breaks. And there's certain times in the middle of my day where I get to hang out with them and just go to the park. So they're with us all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I want them to be a part of everything that we're a part of, and
Yeah.
for them to be able to see everything that we do. There was a moment in time where I was like, kids in the gym, I don't know. Is it unprofessional to have kids in the gym? And then I realized how much of an influence it is for our kids to show up and watch their parents hang out with their friends, and their friends work out.
Well, and it's
that's what
their
they do for
friends
fun.
now too. Shout out
Yeah.
Green Army.
Green Army. But after I realized the impact that it has for kids to come in and be able to see their parents work out, I was like, no, bring kids. Kids need to be able to see this.
Yeah.
Kids need to be able to see their parents work out and go through hard things, and that will inspire them and make it just normal, versus keeping it separate. I know that, as parents, we need our own time to go do our own thing. But if you're working on your fitness and your kids never see you work on that, it doesn't matter how much you tell them I'm going to the gym. It's still going to be an intimidating thing for them when that time comes, versus it being the normal environment. Because we hardly tell our kids to work out or ask them to work out. we will finish a class and they will jump up and kind of replicate everything that they saw go on in the class. They'll bring out a box and step up or try to jump and, ropes and push-ups. And we're like, whoa, look at the
Sayla's
kids.
push-ups are so legit. I was teasing the 5 a.m. the other day, and I was like, okay, like we got to do these push-ups, guys. My 3-year-old's got dope push-ups.
Yeah.
But I think it's, for me, I grew up and remember thinking about fitness as a punishment as a female. It was like, oh, I ate bad, I better work out. I want to lose weight, I better do this. It was a punishment mindset, like I have to work out, not I get to work out. And for me, even before we had a girl, but especially after we had a girl, I want fitness and health and wellness to be a part of their life, like brushing their teeth. Like we brush our teeth and we don't think anything of it because it's what you do to keep your teeth healthy. Movement of any kind is what we do to stay healthy. And again, it's that like leading by example. And they're just, I love being a mom. Like I just think our kids are the coolest thing. They've taught me so much about myself and so much about this world. Like I'll say this and then we'll move on. One of my favorite moments with our kids was going to the ocean for the first time because it changed the way that I looked at the world forever. The first time we took Uriah and he had words and he could see the water coming in and out, his eyes lit up and it was miraculous. And I remembered sitting back and looking at the ocean in a way I had never looked at it before because I was like, that is miraculous. It just comes in and out and in and out. And it's not coming too far and it's not going back too far. It's just this steadiness, this rhythm. And he was so enamored by it. And I was looking at him, looking at the ocean. And I remember I got like super emotional and I cried. And I was like, this is the beauty of children that if you're not paying attention, you miss.
You will miss it.
And you miss that magic that will change your life. It changes your life because now I look at things differently. The way we look at the stars, nature, the things that like have been placed here for us, how amazing that is.
Yeah,
or even
by our
like,
creator.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just changed everything for me. So they're awesome and they're rad. And
Yeah.
they're super swaggy. So, get that from
Yeah,
their
back
dad.
to the beach. I love having our kids at the beach, but also seeing other kids at the beach because it's one place where you get to see kids just be free.
Yeah.
They just run up and down and chase the waves up and down and jump in the water, and they could spend hours there.
Yeah.
And if adults allow themselves, they can be free on the beach as well. Running and playing and jumping in the water and like letting go of I'm an adult and I'm a parent and, being so serious. Find those things that bring you joy. Find those things that make you feel like a kid again, because I feel like those moments are the moments that bring you the most joy and happiness.
Yeah, I had a boogie board on that one trip. Remember, I was out in the ocean for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
You couldn't find me. I was like, after the 2 kids, I think I was ripping for like 2 hours.
Yeah, I got worried at first, and I was like, "Are you gonna come back?" And then I was like, "No, you know what? She's having a time of her life."
I did.
Yeah, that was because you were in this like kid mindset,
Totally.
of just enjoying everything and being present.
Yeah, it was
I
fun.
love that. All right, rolling on to our final clip number 10.
Last but certainly not least, man, I'm just super thankful for our members. I got to coach a couple extra classes this week because O was not feeling good. And I got to coach some times that I don't normally get to coach. And it's like, man, dude, the energy that you get from people and how bought in and supportive everyone's been, how supportive they are of our kids. Shout out to Clifton. He got Sayla a little mermaid wig this morning this morning at the gym. And I just thought to myself, like, how lucky are we? Our kids are surrounded. Our family is surrounded by people that really care.
Yeah.
And I just don't ever take that for granted. What a cool way to experience life with people.
Yeah.
And I don't ever want to take that for granted because I see the difference that it makes and I see the friendships that are made. And I just am grateful that people trust us with their fitness, but more so that they like trust us with the journey of like where we're taking them and just the support. So
Yeah, I love that. Gratitude. Not only for our members, but for people who support us
yeah.
and who are in our corner effortlessly.
Yeah.
It just feels good to have a circle of support. Like you said, you have to have a tribe around you to help you keep moving forward when you hit the thick and when you hit the storm. Who is there and who's comforting you and who's providing you with affirmations when you're in the dumps, if you don't have access or you're not into your faith per se.
And we chose that one in general because it's like, man, this is a super scary thing, right? Like we talked about doing this for like 5 years ago and now we're here trying it, and just the amount of people that verbalize their support and then the amount of sponsors that jumped in on season 1, no questions asked. There was no like, well, how many hits are you getting? What's your viewership like? It was no questions asked support, and I come from the marketing world, so that's very unheard of from the way that we would filter things, right? You'd be asking for stats and things like that. And it's just such a humbling and special thing to put yourself out there and to just feel this overwhelming amount of love and support from people and our members that even give us this idea to start sharing stories and conversations and just trusting us and supporting us and being along for the ride. I think we all have a little bit of imposter syndrome and we all have a lot more self-doubt than we let the world in on. And it's like, I mean, we have a whole room full of people that showed up just to watch us film live to celebrate this like milestone for us. And it's like, that is such a humbling thing to like to really have your tribe show up for you. And I'm just I'm so gracious for every DM, every listener, every download, every chit chat in the gym about don't spoil it. I haven't listened to it yet. Like
spoiler alert,
yeah,
spoiler alert.
It just was,
and not even in the gym, outside the gym.
Yeah.
We've walked around a couple of times and ran into some people just in the community at church or grabbing a bite. And, you know, when we're thinking, oh, no one really watched that episode, they're like, oh, I love the podcast. And you're like, wait, what? You listen to it? And they're like, yeah, I listened to every episode.
Totally.
Just to have that support for them to let you know that they're watching.
And the fact that people are sharing it. I think even more so. I think it's one thing. It's always one thing to take in something. It's a different level when we start to share, right? Like whether it's love, whether it's information, whether it's experience, it's a different thing to have it and to hold it. But then when you have something like that and then you're sharing that with other people, I think that's really what drives like a greater connection and whatnot. And so to hear the amount of people sharing it as well was just, I came home and I would tell you, I'd bump into someone and they'd talk about the podcast and I would almost be like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe you even listened to it. Like I didn't even know if you follow me on Instagram. I don't know.
Because you were surprised that they would even.
Yes. And then they're like, and I shared it. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, wow. Like just, it's such an incredible thing. And I just, again, like, thank you to everyone. I can't say that enough.
Gratitude's been such a huge part of our routine as of late. I've got a couple of things. I know I talked about journaling. It's a gratitude journal where I get to write down my focus for the day, my affirmations, and then I get to write what I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
I would definitely recommend having some sort of practice where you can write gratitude down, you know, first thing in the morning or at night. And then I feel that there's a lot of power in being able to express your gratitude, taking it even further. So at the end of my journal, it says like, how will you show gratitude today, basically?
Yeah.
And it's like, I oftentimes write, I will express it outwardly. I will reach out to someone via text or via message, or I love just sharing gratitude face to face. And I feel like, you know, as leaders of the gym, that's almost giving other people permission to share as well. You know, you see people
something,
share.
say something. That is the Aubi saying. It's like, I'm big on compliments, but I believe that they always should be true. But I always believe if you see something, say something. If you love someone's smile, if someone's got good energy, if someone always has a good attitude, if you like their shoes, if you like, I don't know, like their hair, the way they smell, whatever. Like I'm big on, well, you know, like my dad wears a lot of cologne, so I have like a nose for that. So if you smell good, I'm going to say something. But I just believe that sometimes we take for granted how powerful those words are.
Yes.
And if you need a biohack, this has been good for me because I had a hard time with, I'm not a routine person. I really have to force it. So the gratitude journal was taking me a little bit to get into. And then I heard the stat that was the part of your brain when you are practicing gratitude is the same part of your brain that expresses anxiety. And so you can't, if you're operating in this place of gratitude, it's less likely for it to be clicking over into that space. And as someone that really struggles with depression and anxiety highs and lows, it has made a world of difference in me, like stabilizing my mood. And then I'm looking for things, like things happen. And then I'm like, oh, I'm going to write that down tonight because that moment was so special. And I would have missed it if I hadn't started that practice. And I can feel that part of my brain focusing more on the things that I'm grateful for in moments that I'm struggling. So
yeah,
so cool.
So cool. So we're going to close out. Those are some clips and highlights from season 1, the past 9 episodes. We're going to get into our obsession of the week.
Week.
I'll go first. I will say this is something we do every week. Kiddos, Rye, say, what do we do on Fridays? Fry shake. They call it fry shake. They call it In-N-Out fry shake. I take the kids. Aubi, you know, with her autoimmune stuff, has a hard time finding stuff to eat, but I will get her double meat protein style, so forth and so on. And she bears with us when we're there. But I've been taking the kids to In-N-Out, I mean, since Uriah was 1, since he could eat real food, 2 years old. And it's just a tradition that we do that I love. I mean, I have ties to In-N-Out because I worked in high school. And when people who aren't from the West Coast don't understand the hype behind In-N-Out, like they go there and they order.
You got to go. Hold on. Give him the rundown, guys. Because listen,
all right, here you
if
go.
you guys
Number
if you
one.
need to know something about Omar, he worked there in high school, and if you go to In-N-Out with Omar, he's gonna break it down for you, like how they make everything. Well, what positions are what?
If you want me to.
He's gonna tell you about the milkshake machine and how he had to put all the pieces together. So how do you need to order your In-N-Out to optimize the experience? I'm gonna break it down.
I don't think you can go and order just a double onions or no onions. It's got to you got to get grilled onions. You got to get some mustard fried into the patty, or you got to go animal style. Right?
Okay.
You cannot take In-N-Out to go. Do not take it to go. It
That's
doesn't
the
travel
disclaimer
well.
I was waiting for.
Yes.
Do not take In-N-Out
the
to
burger,
go.
The fries will get a little soggy. If you're going to go to the drive-thru, you pull over in the parking lot and you lay that placemat across your lap so it doesn't get all over the place. Ain't no Carl's Jr.'s. And then you eat your meal there. You know what I mean? Or you go inside and then you have the full experience. So going with the kids, we go in, they're excited to get stickers. Sometimes they get hats.
Yeah.
I make the kids order their own food because that's like part of what we do for homeschool is being able to communicate with people, look them in the eye and say, can I please have,
May I please have Flying Dutchman?
It's not, can I have? It's like, no, try that again. So the whole experience of getting to order, there's a whole process. They go and wash their hands. We wait for if you guys didn't know, on rainy days, hot cocoa is free for kids. Another reason to go to In-N-Out? Man, I just love In-N-Out. It's a good old time.
We got apparel. Making him ambassador already.
Yeah, for sure.
This guy.
So that's my obsession of the week. In-N-Out.
love
Shout out
that.
to In-N-Out, man. It's in my blood.
I love it.
Might even get a tattoo. JK. To match my grill. I told Aubi I want to get a grill for my 40th
He wants
birthday.
a grill for his 40th birthday team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
I love
I was
it.
like, midlife crisis, maybe. Go with the old school cars.
What you got, boo?
My obsession of the week, I guess we're both going food. So after this, we were headed down to the Donut Hole by
Ooh.
Carl's Donuts.
Hey.
And you guys, I didn't have a wedding cake. We had donuts. And it was
donuts.
before Pinterest made it like a cool thing. I love a donut. I rarely have them anymore because of all my autoimmune stuff, but I packed my binder and my digestive enzymes. I am prepared.
We're celebrating with a donut.
I am celebrating with a donut today. I've been looking forward to it. But I love their stories. So Amber is the COO, and we're lucky enough to know her via Alessio, one of our socialites.
Mm-hmm.
But she is the granddaughter of the original owners that opened Carl's Donuts in 1966.
Wow.
Which is so cool. And they're known for a lot of their wholesale. I think they do something like 20 million donuts a year, something crazy like that.
insane.
But they have the retail store down on Sunset. That was always my go-to spot when I was delivering things to accounts, especially when I was at cannabis. People loved it. And I love everything about their family-owned business and the integrity behind it and just kind of that old school donut shop vibe. And then they just opened up their retail location downtown over here called the Donut Hole. So we're going to hit that after this for a celebratory donut.
are.
Super excited. And Amber is just a gem.
Yeah.
You're
Shout
right.
out to Carl's Donuts.
Carl's Donuts at
Hit
a
'em
Maple
up, yeah.
Bar. Just,
Something simple.
something simple. I'm not like into the fancy schmancy stuff. I just want like a old school maple bar and I'll be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving on. Closing off. Gratitude. Season 1. Closing.
Wow.
I'm trying to keep it simple, I guess. I'm grateful for human connection. We were sitting around chatting after one of the morning classes, and I just thought how special the gym was because people were able to just let their guards down, be vulnerable, and I just saw the importance of just human connection because I think we're getting so far away from it
Yeah.
that society is making us claim these certain labels and putting us in boxes. And if you're in this box and you're on this side,
Yeah, you can't be
guys
friends.
can't
Yeah,
possibly be
totally.
friends or have anything in common, when in reality, we have way more in common with each other than we don't. So I'm grateful for human connection. I'm grateful for the conversations I've been able to have over the past little bit with momentum and having guys be able to open up and be vulnerable and chat about traumas and hurts that they've been through.
Yeah.
I mean, most of my guys who are here in the gym have been through momentum. To have like my coach Tim, who has been like right-hand man helping out get set up. He like walked over the practice momentum with me, and
Yep.
I was able to just chat and like get to know him a little bit better, be able to let stuff off of my chest, be able to hear like what stuff that he's gone through, and also have things in common where it's like, man, I went through that stuff too. I went through being told I was skinny all the time as a kid, and now I still suffer from this skinny boy syndrome. You know
Neither
what I
one
mean?
of
Like,
y'all are skinny, by the way. Y'all
but it's
look
never
good.
enough. It's
I
like,
know.
oh, I weigh 175. I need to get up to 180 and then 185. It's like a girl trying to lose weight.
5 more
Well, in
pounds.
the opposite direction. I don't know that people think about that. You think that like, oh, you're skinny, you must be nice. And it's like, it makes us feel small and it makes us feel like a little insecure. So when I hear people with Uriah and it's like, or, my mom does it. Mom, I love you, but you know what you do. And she's like, that boy too skinny, man. You need to feed him some real food. Stop feeding him all this chicken and broccoli. He needs to eat some hot dogs and corn dogs and hamburgers. And it's like, Mom, don't call him skinny. He's going to have a little bit of a complex as he get older because I have one, So, yeah, that was a little sidetrack there. But grateful for human connections and conversations. Those are my things I'm grateful for.
I'm going to start with I'm grateful that our marriage stayed together and that we're doing this and that we're in a season now of greater connection than we've ever had. And a greater friendship than I think we've ever had. And I think we've always been good friends. Like that's something I've always enjoyed you and enjoyed time with you. Like we have a good time. Like we've always done that. We've always had a good time. But I'm just thankful to be in this season and getting last night as we're kind of watching through clips and just getting to review that. I was like, man, I'm thankful to be even more in love with you than I was before. We're coming up on 14 years next month.
How does it keep growing stronger and getting better?
I don't know. You just keep getting better though. So you're going to be my number one. Number two, I'm super grateful for all of our live audience. That's here right now.
Live audience.
Live audience.
Thank you guys for coming.
I'm so
taking time out of your day to be with us.
Seriously though,
yeah,
it's
it
like
means the world, guys.
The season wouldn't have been what it was with. It's like I say it about the gym all the time, and I mean it about the podcast too. Where it's like, man, it just is not. It's not just about us. It's not just us. We might like open the door for an opportunity, but it is the people that fill in those gaps that make such a difference. And I'm just so grateful for them. And then last but certainly not least, I'm really grateful for coffee because it's been a really long 10 weeks. We've had a lot going on. We've launched our nutrition program at the gym.
Mm-hmm.
We had the open. We were doing the podcast. We had homeschool. We had our mentorship. We had coaching. I have clients. Like it's been a whirlwind. And I'm powered by coffee and looking forward to a lavender Americano as we close this baby out.
Yes,
so
we did it.
We
Boom.
did it.
Season 1. That's a wrap, y'all. Thank you guys again so much for tuning in, listening, watching. Thank you, Quan, so much for the studio and the space, man. It films well. People think we're super professionals. They never would have guessed it was episode number 1 if it wasn't, for the studio and the way it looks, I'm so grateful for this. Closing it out. We're going to take probably a 4-week break or so. Just come up with some new ideas. Take some time to go on some adventures. Come up with some new stories. Figure out what we want to do for season 2 and what direction we want to go in.
Yeah, so if you guys have any ideas, slide into our DM. Let us know what you want to hear more of. Let us know how we can be of service to you guys. And last but certainly not least, know that you're made with a purpose, on purpose. And thanks for spending your time with us.
That's right. Anybody want to bring it in from the gym? Let's get a last little Fit Force. For closing out season 1.
Come on, Rice.
Season number 1. That's a wrap. 10 episodes in the book. This is how we close off every workout at our gym with a Fit Force
Real gangster like
If you guys
team.
missed where the Fit Force Whoop came from, you guys got to go back to the Wilkes episode because he was on there back in 2010. Fit Force Whoop on 3, y'all. 1, 2, 3. Fit Force Whoop. Peace out. Chicken grease.